Experience tranquility. Pass into the iris.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Iris Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Yeti. Joining me tonight, we have Apathy, we have Beth, and joining us for the first time on the Iris Podcast tonight, we have Train, and joining us for the last time on the Iris Podcast tonight, we have Capital. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's quick PSA before everybody goes to Twitter and cries. I was on vacation for 5 days last week, so I don't have an in memoriam. We also don't have a montage or a comms check. I'll await your twit longers, and I'll meet them with absolute. I'll meet them with absolute apathy. And then me and Apathy will both go, "This is pointless. Why are you guys whining so much?" So, all right. Anyways, guys, enough of this. So let's talk about last week, round 1 of the playoffs, and it went exactly as expected in the Harmony tier because I got 5 of my 6 predictions incorrect. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but my brackets were busted. A lot of teams went down early. We saw Vanguard drop. We saw Sky Guardians drop. We saw some bigger names drop. Inferno Foxes dropped. Lots of teams that you probably weren't expecting to go home. Or Amnesia as well. Can't forget Amnesia. I'm sure Train and Capital can't. So,
I wish I could. I wish I had Amnesia, as they say.
So, guys, we're talking now about what's going on in these tiers. We got a lot of teams in that lower bracket. What I want to talk about is who's going to run it back this time around. A lot of these teams are itching to get back into it, get back going again. Really curious who is going to end up running it back in these playoffs, guys. Who's going to run it back in the who's going to run it back in the lower brackets. So I'm going to ask every single analyst here, pick one team. Who's going to make a comeback here? We're going to start with you, Train.
Yeah, right on. I went Atlas Arcadia here. I think going into the season, Atlas Arcadia is one of the teams that perhaps went a little under the radar. Had a pretty middling season, stage 1, stage 2. But now looking at the rest of their bracket, they have Skybox this week. Hard match for them, hard match for Atlas Arcadia for sure. But a winnable one. I think that'll be a close contest. And then after that, they'll have the loser of Corvidity and Alpha. So again, another tough match. Either way that goes. If that goes Alpha, that's going to be a really hard match. But if it goes Corvidity, then probably a little more winnable. And then the round after that would be one of either Battalion, Cuttlefish, Dirt, or BSI. So, a lot of hard matches for Atlas Arcadia, but again, I think a pretty reasonable path. If I had to pick some coin flips there, I'd pick a lot of them to go Atlas Arcadia's way. So keep my eyes on them.
All right, Beth, what about you? Who are you watching?
So for this, I went with Mark III. They had the misfortune of going up against Paradise, lost in the first round, and lost 3-1, which was a respectable showing. Paradise lost is always a stronger team than we give them credit for, it feels like. Mark III just had a really strong stage 1 and stage 2. I think that of all of these teams, they're a pretty good candidate to have a really strong showing in the lower bracket.
All right, Cap, what do you think? Who's going to run it back?
I have Inferno Foxes running it back. Honestly, I think they're a really strong team. They unluckily went against Excalibur, who is very highs, very middling, and I think Inferno Foxes is a really consistent team with some great star power. They go into a game against Poseidon, who just came off that reverse sweep in that feature match. Great feature match to watch, and I think they really can start building momentum and make it to the lower bracket.
All right, and Apathy, what do you think?
I went with the team. I've given out a lot of second chances this year, a lot of third and a lot of fourth chances. I went with a team that, especially last season and a bit of this season, I never even gave them a first chance. But I'm going to give them their second chance now, and that's Vanguard Spartans. They took a really hard, well-fought loss to Firefight, but I think they're kind of in position to be one of those dominant teams in the lower bracket and potentially be the ones to make it to championship.
You're giving it to Vanguard after counting them out all season. Can you believe it? I am going with a team represented by members on this podcast today, a team that I've had a ton of faith in this season, a team started in the upper bracket after a great stage 2 showing. I gotta say, and I'm having trouble remembering the name because you have to say, I have been eating too much spicy food because it's the Holy Jalapenos. That's right. The Holy Jalapenos. I have a lot of faith in that team. The Needle coaching, the Chimanzi support. Mainly, it's just Krev. I am a firm believer that Krev is one of the top DPS in the tier, and I think that team still has an opportunity to push through. And for the record, Cap didn't think because I had it on the sheet already that I was picking Holy Jalapenos. They can see the script. They know the script. There's no bait here.
We're all paid actors.
It's all.
Paid actors.
Yeti, I sold it so well.
Yeah, I know you did. You sold the disappointment. Honestly, maybe this won't be your podcast. Yes, honestly, guys, there's a lot of great teams looking to run it back. Benefit of that double elimination format and that great regular season. Now these teams have a chance, and that's kind of a cool thing. I'm really excited about this season, and I think everybody's having a lot of fun. Like I said, no in memoriam this week. Tune in next week so we can say goodbye to Council of Anime Girls and the other teams that are gone too. But let's get to the fantasy draft. I know you guys are excited. I know you guys want to talk about these, see who these guys ended up picking. To keep it simple, we're doing things a little differently tonight. It's not a standard fantasy draft. All the players out in the open, everything, everybody can pick from everybody. There's so many teams. We all have such crazy lives that we just can't keep tabs on 24 teams in 3 separate tiers. It just ain't happening, y'all. No offense, but I don't think that any of us can name the starting 6 from a team like Celestial Wind or a team like even Manifest, who's still actually in the thing. Just saying, you guys are great and all, but we can't keep tabs on everybody. So change the rules a little bit this time. So here's how this works. Every team that is currently in the playoffs are eligible to be chosen from, and I assigned the teams out to each of these guys in advance. So they knew which teams they had to draft 2 tanks, 2 supports, and 2 DPS from. If you are in the upper bracket, your team was eligible to be picked from the pool twice. If you are in the lower bracket, you are eligible to be picked from once. I hope that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, just, strap in, have some fun, grab a drink, non-alcoholic drink, settle in and enjoy yourself. We're gonna start with the Harmony tier tonight. The Harmony tier, and we'll start breaking it down one by one. And we will start with Train in the Harmony tier. The first team you had to pick from was Flashbacks. And who'd you pick?
I went with the singular, one and only 4,200 current player in the Harmony tier, and that is Smoke. Smoke, just walking MTD. He's simply the best in the tier at this point, in my opinion. Came up as a relatively unknown player before the season, and looking match to match, you really can't ask for more from this guy. It's got to be Smoke for me.
Train's connection has a little bit of smoke behind it, it seems like right now, but otherwise we have Smoke picked here by Train. And by the way, all these rosters will be posted at a later time. I didn't have time to do graphics beforehand because I went on vacation. Y'all can be patient. Take me for granted again, why don't you? And you guys can, what we're going to do is post the rosters, and I'm going to let you guys vote who picked the best rosters. I'm going to have a little fun with this, see who you guys end up picking here. So let's go next to Beth. The first team that you had picked from was Chrysalis. Who'd you pick?
So from Chrysalis, I picked, that is not my roster. From Chrysalis, I picked Truth on DPS. Really strong player, has been a pretty big impact on this team this year. Yeah, so seemed like a pretty straightforward pick to me.
All right, Truth, DPS from Chrysalis. Let's go Cap. Your first team, Palm Beach Poggers. Who'd you pick?
Yeah, I think started off strong. Gotta go support as a support player, and I went with Exu from Palm Beach Poggers, really showing off. It was a great climb throughout the season, honestly. He's been great.
He's been great. He hasn't hit 4,700 like Smoke, but you definitely have to give it to Exu on that one there. We're going to kick it back down to Apathy now. You had Koala Kings for your first pick.
Yeah, I went with a DPS player. Went with QZ, Discord tier champion last season. Backed out at Harvard tier. There were a lot of people on this team that I could have picked, but I ended up going with QZ to be my star DPS for this fantasy team.
All right, kick back over to Train here. Your next team, probably one of the most unknown teams in Harmony tier coming into the playoffs, but they made an immediate impact here. That's Frost Nova. Who'd you end up going with?
I went for one of the very few names on this team I actually recognized, and recognized them off performance alone, and that is one of their supports, Early Vincent. This player is someone who just reliably does their job and is just very, very consistent. And I think the Harmony tier and in the support line especially, you really need consistency.
Right. And Beth, we're going to kick it to you now for your second pick. We're going over, we're taking this down to Miami, which I think is something along the lines of a song or a line from a Will Smith rap. But Miami Yikes.
So from the Miami Yikes, I went back to the DPS lineup and I picked Stonky. Really strong player, really well known to the community. Definitely, when I played against him in the past, he's been a tough person to play against. So he's my pick for DPS.
All right. Next up, Cap. Here we go. You got Loki.
Yeah, Loki, great upset this week against JPC. I think it was really led by their main tank, Mech. He's been great this season. Like, obviously, the coaching from OC has helped him a lot, and I think they're striving to make more upsets through playoffs. I think it'll look great.
I think Mech is one of the strongest tanks. Like, Loki has been one of the strongest tanks of the tier this season. Definitely one of the most improved tanks in the
For sure.
So Loki and Mech picked here by Capital. Apathy, wrap up our second picks. You had Firefight here. Who'd you go with?
I took a tank this time. I went with Rage, the off tank for Firefight. Not seen too often in like the highlight montages and whatnot, but he's getting like consistent, 2K bombs, good eats, kind of just like all over the map and a pretty good diva. Yeah, just a solid core player to build around.
All right, and then let's get to the third teams here. We're dipping down into the lower bracket for these teams for the next two rounds. Train, starting off with the Luminous Foxes. Who'd you get?
Yeah, I went DPS here. I went with Commercial. Another name that kind of came out of nowhere for me. But watching back their games and their codes, like this person just stands out in every single fight. And so, if I'm going to pick someone from Apathy's favorite team, I'm going to go DPS and I'm going to pick someone who dips him on a regular basis. And that's got to be Commercial for me.
That doesn't narrow it down.
That's true.
In terms of Harmony tier players.
Let's put it this way. Big Bang Buccaneers' strength was not in its DPS line. Gonna be the sad and
I disagree. As coach, I disagree with you there. Disagree.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. The support line was bad. But anyways, Beth, who do you got here? You went with Strix for your pick.
Yes. So for Strix, I moved over to their really strong support line. Kind of a toss-up for me between Thoramea and Daye, but I eventually went with Thoramea. Really strong voice of leadership on the team. She's their team captain. Very, very solid support player for them.
All right. Cap, we got the Jersey Boys for you here. Who'd you go with?
Honestly, I think Jersey Boys, Yeti's favorite team. I had to go with another tank. Finish off that strong tank line. I think it's led by Grodzilla, the most consistent Rhine player since they joined, honestly. Most consistent Rhine player in Harmony.
Godzilla's Reinhardt is a legend among the people. Just ask Navino. I'm pretty sure that he's still picking the hammer out of his nachos. Anyways, Apathy. Apathy, we're going to you now for the final pick of this round. You had Vanguard Spartans. Who'd you take?
Well, on my team, I kind of wanted to go for some players that could play dive heroes. So from Vanguard, I took Zorthcon, an excellent ball player, one of the few Harmony tier main tanks that is capable of playing ball to a good level, to a 2-8 level. Zorthcon's definitely above the 2-8 level mark for that ball play. So I went with him, and he's no slouch on other tanks either.
All right, kicking it back over to you, Train. We're going to the Turbo Throwers next for your next pick.
Yeah, with Turbo Throwers, I went back to support. And I went Jacob F here. I really wanted to go Great Train and switch over to, talking about some memes on the podcast. I mean, fellow train enthusiasts is big, but, watching back the codes, it's just Jacob F. Charging ult every fight, winning duels versus Doomfist of all things, and just opening a lot of opportunities. So When it comes to playmaking supports, really one of the best in the tier by far.
Beth, we're going to you again. Next round, your team, the Jetpack Cats. Who'd you take?
All right, so for Jetpack Cats, I thought this choice was pretty easy. I went with Sips T on tank. She's a phenomenal off-tank player, really, really good at the role, and as an off-tank player myself, definitely appreciate that. And I think, wasn't she MVP or like a strong MVP candidate? I think she got MVP last season. I don't remember, a couple seasons ago. Season 5, thank you so much. So really, really strong player. It's hard to believe she's still in the Harmony tier, but that's my pick for off-tank.
Cap, we're going to you now. 4th round. You have Boop for your team coming off the upset of the Big Bang Buccaneers. Sag.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a part of the Big Bang Buccaneers. I don't know what happened there, but I know somebody who's been now consistent with the support gameplay. Dispel honestly leads the team, really balances out that team, and has been great since he joined. So I'm picking Dispel, another very consistent, great player for an underrated team.
Now I'm depressed. I made myself depressed. Apathy, Sky Guardians is your team.
Well, I need a tracer to pair with the ball, so I got to go with one of the best tracers in the tier, Milo on DPS. Kind of enough said.
Yeah, not much to be said there. I agree. Milo, fantastic DPS player indeed. Harmony tier, we're burning through it. We are on round 5. Let's go to you, Train. Your team, Chrysalis, going back to the Deloitte Hopper bracket. Who do you got?
Yeah, I realized the other tank partner I had was Smoke, and I realized that I would very quickly need a leadership figure who could string together coherent sentences.
True.
So I went with Chobi, because while Chobi's sentences are coherent, they may lack in some content, and I think Smoke has the content. Smoke has the content covered.
So you just use Chobi as an interpreter.
That's my plan. That is my plan. And you know what? I'm sticking to it. I'm sticking to it.
That's honestly completely fair. I've seen streams from both. That's completely fair.
I want to hire Chobi for flashback.
Yeah, just to be a Smoke interpreter.
Going like stream of consciousness nothingness, and Chobi being like, "Yes, we should push left up main." Like
exactly.
It'd be. Well, the question is would it be as bad? Would it be as bad as the Squid Game English dub? That's the real question.
Oh man, I don't think anything can be that bad. I don't
think anything can be that bad.
All right, dubs.
All right, we're back to you, Beth. Your 5th pick from the Koala Kings. Who'd you take?
I picked Jeff Bott. Really strong player, really strong team. Definitely a leader on that team. Think he's a really strong player.
Well said. I'm not arguing. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. Kat, we're going to you, and you had the unfortunate choice of picking one of your favorite children here, and you had to go with the flashbacks. Who'd you pick?
It's not.
Well, I mean, I hate them all, so
that's fair. Actually, that's true. So
it was
just like a real parent
picking the shiniest turd. And I had to go with Triangulum, Mr. Tri himself. He's been great leadership-wise to the team. Really filled in that projectile role. Has actually filled in even more than he's been needed, and it does a lot for the team that people don't see gameplay as well. I think he really just stands out for me as a great player.
I had to laugh so hard. I hope everybody heard Beth's joke there because it was so good. As a person with kids, you hate to love them as much as you do.
I just hate them.
Yeah, that's fair. All right.
So you're like my parents.
You hate my kids? Dude, you're sick. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways,
hey,
get him out of here.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I guess.
All right, Apathy, go ahead here. You got Paul Beach Poggers.
All right, I went with Exu. A bit of a BAP one trick. I'm building a ball dive team, but whatever. We'll throw him in there anyways. He'll figure it out.
So Exu gonna have to figure out how to play Zen or something on Apathy's team. It looks like. Train, we're going to your last pick here, and then if you just want to like run down the list of people you took again at the end, who's your last pick from Miami Yikes?
Yeah, so for anyone playing at home, my last pick is DPS. I'm going to go with one of the most hyped up players again. I'm going to go with Virgo here. I am stanky for Stonky typically. Like Beth said, Stonky's a big playmaking kind of guy. But I think Virgo has gone criminally underrated. And it's kind of slid under the radar underneath Stonky's mass appeal. But I just think Virgo is a little bit more consistent. Stonky's got some flashing moments, some great clips, but I'm looking for the kind of background DPS player who just does their job and gets the work done. And that's Virgo for me.
Right.
So in summary, my team, I've got Smoke on tank from Flashbacks. I've got Early Vincent on support from Foss Nova. Commercial on DPS from Luminous Foxes. Jacob F on support from Turbo Throwers. Chobi on tank from Chrysalis. And Virgo on DPS from Miami X.
All right, Beth, wrap us up here. Your 6th round choice has come from Firefight. Who'd you take?
And for Firefight, a team that won pretty strong last week, I am picking, I think they won pretty strong. Now I'm completely,
Yeah,
anyways, I'm picking Coconut. Beautiful. I'm picking Coconut. Team captain, a really strong support player, definitely a leadership force on that team.
All right, and Cap, who do you got here for your 6th pick? It is from Frost Nova.
Yeah, so I've gone the only team to beat Flashbacks. So I've gone 2 supports, 2 tanks, and now I have DPS. Somebody to compliment Try had to go somebody with a bit more aggressiveness in their playstyle. I went Scarrow from Frost Nova. Really good Reaper player, I know, and as well as well-rounded in a lot of other hit scans, I do believe. And that rounds up my team. So my tanks would be Mech and Godzilla. Supports being Exu and Dispel, and then my DPS being Try and Scarrow rounds up a really scary double main tank brawl team.
Beth, did we get your summary?
I did not summarize. I can do that really quickly here.
Let's do it.
So, my tank line is Jeffbot Koala King, Sips Tea from Jetpack Cats. My DPS line is Truth from Chrysalis and Stonky from the Miami Yikes. And my support line is Thora Maya from Strix and Coconut from Firefight.
Now, it'd be good if, as the person who runs the podcast, if I had told you we were going to do this at the end. But, that's just not my style.
I'm working on like about 3% power right now, so I just need to be prompted for.
Damn, you're up to 3%.
Doing very well.
Wow, you're doing great for 3%. Because
I'm scared of the 100%.
I'm on far less and operating on pure caffeine right now. So, Apathy. Let's wrap it up here in the Harmony tier. Your last team was Ragnarok Loki. Who'd you take?
I went with Watercliff, the support player. It was my last role to fill, but not really like it wasn't like he was my last option. A very good support player, knows when to get aggressive on the Lucio and when to stay with his team, speed him in for that 6-man that they usually play. Yeah, so I went with Watercliff, and that makes my team round out to be, I've got Zorthcon and Rage as my tank duo, Milo QZ as my DPS duo, and Exu Watercliff for my supports.
Some stacked teams without a doubt. All championship sounding teams all around here. Again, you'll have the opportunity to vote on these. I'll be posting those rosters up probably at some point tomorrow would be my guess. But make sure to take a peek at that, vote on these, and that way these guys can have some bragging rights. So nothing else on the line, just bragging rights. Bragging rights are pretty cool. Bragging rights are pretty cool. It's cool when you win things. Just ask every team but Council of Anime Girls, and you'd understand that. So let's get to... Yeah, I just went there. All right.
Big Bang Buccaneers.
That's true.
Hey, we should have
Hold on. I seem to forget how many...
Same record.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have the exact same record this season.
Do we?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, beyond that sour point, let's get over now. We're going to mix it up. So really quick, we are going to do the Transcendence tier next. And then after Transcendence tier, that's when we're doing the drawing cutoff. So if you were going to get in a giveaway entry for a free t-shirt this week, you need to get those giveaway entries in before we finish up Trans tier. At that point, giveaway entries for this week will close. We'll be doing t-shirt drawings for the remainder of the playoffs. In addition, come championship bracket, we have some special giveaways coming. So be sure to tune in. Make sure you get those channel points. Make sure you put in your bets on who's going to win each map so you can rack up those points faster. Because come championship bracket, those giveaways are going to get quite a bit more spicy. So Let's move into the Transcendence tier now, guys. Transcendence tier, we will go, and we're going to go back to the Discord tier afterwards. We're mixing it up, keeping you on your toes. If you don't like it, I don't care. Let's start in Trans tier with Train. Your first team, first pick, going with the team sitting in first in the Transcendence tier. That is Alpha. Who do you got from Alpha?
From Alpha, I am taking DPS player Cosine. Really, I don't have much to say about Cosine. I just think best DPS in the tier, hands down, in my opinion. If not best, then easily top 3. And really, I might just have nothing else to add. You really need a lot of firepower in that role, coming trans tier, so Cosine's it for me.
Beth, we're going to you next here after that Cosine pick. And I heard through the grapevine that for this pick, you like Dirt.
Oh, we're doing trans tier.
Yeah.
The grapevine go
Okay,
out of the
completely
dirt?
zoned
Not
out.
really.
Anyways, trans tier. I do like Dirt. Support. I picked George Lopez. Really, really strong support player. Played for them last season. Definitely a really kind of like strong presence on that team.
A very tasty pick there from Beth. Cap, your first team to pick from the Devil Dukes. Who are you taking?
Devil Dukes. Interesting team. Gotta start off with a strong tank, as I know building trans-tier teams, tanks are really important, as I came to know this season. So I went with an off tank that's that I wish I had, and that's Abraxas.
Wow. Hey, Abraxas, great pick. Fantastic tank player, no question about it. Apathy, we're going to you for the final pick of this round. You had Godhand. Who are you taking?
Starting DPS again. I'm going Orsted.
Orsted's washed, though. Okay. Or you want to pick Orsted?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I want to pick Orsted.
Orsted,
risky.
the Season 1 Tranquility Community MVP Orsted, still here after all these years, which is only actually like 3.5, so it's really not that long, all things considered, but still.
He won't try for Godhand, but he'll try for me.
I doubt that somehow.
Never met him, but
All right, Train, second pick here. You're going with a team, a very, very quiet team all season, but very quietly has pushed themselves to now 1 win away from the championship bracket, and that's Bird Society Ibis. Who are you going from there?
Yeah, talk about a quiet team. I had to go back and watch some codes just because I couldn't remember very much about their games. But after thinking they were so quiet, I went to bed that night and had nightmares of the Zen right-click charge sound. So I'm taking Zapper because seriously, Zapper does not stop charging right-clicks, and it gave me a headache. And every time it's finding picks. So you know what? At that point, you earned it. You did it. Congratulations.
See, for me, there's 2 types of Zenyatta players. There's people who are just fodder, and then there's people who know how to actually play Zen. And it seems like, based on everything I've seen, Zapper has figured out how to play Zen fairly well.
Seems like it.
Yeah,
Pretty close.
Beth, your choice is from Corvidity. Who'd you go with?
I went over to the DPS line for Corvidity, and I picked up Khan, aka Hades, from that line. Really strong force on the team, solid DPS player all around.
All right, that is Khan/Hades from Corvidity. Capital, you have the Decapitators. Who you picking?
Another interesting team. I had to go Delphier, even though he is the married man meta, which of course obviously is a boost. So I had to pick
not
him.
anymore.
What?
Doinby went home and Sabiobi got divorced. The married man meta is dead.
Oh, I thought you were saying Delphi wasn't married.
Oh,
and I was
no.
like,
I was gonna say,
I was
that
like,
got
should I
dark.
No, you're like,
bad.
not anymore, man.
Dark.
No, I meant because
Yo.
Doinby got eliminated in groups. So
Oh,
Sabiobi got divorced.
I was like, should I not have said anything?
My
well,
fault.
I mean-
I see the confusion now.
Yo. All right.
Exposing
Wow.
the man's personal life live on stream. It's
Yeah, right.
You know?
That guy.
Let's go
that
for
guy,
it.
That
He's
went.
Hey,
He's
that's
okay.
how we found out about Sabiobi.
That's true.
All right.
That is also.
That's how I just found out about Sabiobi. So yeah. I guess
Yeah,
so.
apparently.
I'm
Right,
still
well,
shocked.
just
I didn't
remember.
realize anybody in Owl was over like 12.
Yeah, that's right. Sabiobi and his wife are divorced. Everybody, just so you know, love truly is dead. Apathy
And Sabiel B's available.
and Sabio, but say yeah. Shockwave Apathy is your team to choose from. Who you picking?
I gotta go with the off-tank difference, especially from last week. I went with Garrett. Yeah.
He earned it, man. He earned it.
He did.
Garrett's too good. He's such a good player.
Was an
He just
off-tank
earned it.
difference. Was
He
an
earned
off-tank.
it.
Train. You looked a
You
little.
signed Harmony to your player capital. I don't know what to tell you, bro. You
Garrett,
signed a
okay,
Harmony
I'm gonna be
player.
honest. I expected a lot. No,
Train. You look a little sour on that Garrett pick. Is there some history that we need to know about, or
No, Garrett and I are best friends. I love Garrett with a passion.
on Twitter he said he was
he
your
sends me
enemy
memes.
until Most Improved came out.
Yes.
does
No,
it
we're
bother?
Now that
Does
Most
it
Improved
bother
voting
you
is
that
open, he's
that
my
Garrett
enemy.
got picked and not you? Well, you haven't been an option yet.
I didn't. Get
I haven't
amnesia.
been an option. I am a lower bracket team, so only one person can pick me. And
You're
we'll see
a
how
lower
that goes.
bracket team, man. I did not see them.
We are a lower bracket team.
I need to stop.
I don't want to
Turns
talk
out.
I'm
about
gonna
that.
I'm gonna piss off the wrong people one of these days. So, all right.
It's only capital.
Hey, I am small but mighty. I will.
You're right
I
about
will
you're right about one of those. All right, Train, going to you.
But-
mighty.
Your next pick is from Godhand. Who'd you take?
I went tank on Godhand. I picked Andy. You know, I like Cosine. I really don't have much to say. I think Andy gets a lot of hype on this podcast, and deservedly so. Or maybe not. You know, maybe he's just terrible, low key,
Jeez.
and we'll find out. Let's just kind of throw him in a new environment and see how it goes. But fingers crossed.
D colon in the chat there, Normac. My goodness. All right, Beth, go ahead. Your pick from Shockwave.
Unfortunately, I didn't have a very informed decision about Shockwave. I haven't watched a whole lot of their matches and didn't really have time to go back and game footage. So based on what I know about the team, I ended up going with Hypnos, Discord tag with the whipped cream for later, which I think is hilarious. So I had to bring it up. She's one of the highest ranked players on their team. Support player for them. So ended up going with her.
I just have to say, by the way, I've talked to two of the Decapitators who recently rung for the team Shockwave. They both said it's like the coolest team they've ever been around. So just telling you guys,
That's Garrett.
Shockwave,
Garrett's way
Shockwave.
cooler.
I mean,
Garrett's
shout out to
cooler.
the whole Reckless org. If we're being honest with ourselves, that's a very well run org.
And they're purple. Purple teams are always
yeah.
the best teams.
Purple teams are pretty cool. I agree.
It's a good color.
I agree.
We're pink.
It's like it's purple.
Lavender.
It's
It's
It's,
lilac.
Train, your shirt.
purple.
Your shirt.
This is extremely purple.
it's,
Maybe I'm colorblind. I don't know.
it could.
You're
It,
just still
Like,
you're
very
seeing
purple.
from the
Definitely
dishwasher
lilac.
still.
that's true. That's true. Although Train just lagged. He just chugga chewed himself to Lagville. So, Capital, we're gonna go back to you here. You have Corvidity to pick from. Who'd you take?
So I love Corvidity. Corvidity's a great team. They're homies. Love all of them. But I went with Jackrabbit. Great support player. Great mechanically. I think they're really underrated. Haven't been talked about enough or even at all in the seasons they've been here. I think they're top tier. Honestly, they're great.
They're a very good
Yeah.
team. When they fill up their match sheet, incredible team. Apathy. Who do you got here for your next pick? You were picking from
Bird Society.
Bird Society. That's right. Did I triple up on Corvidity on this sheet? I did.
Yes, you did.
I screwed up. I
You want
screwed
to
up.
give me a new one on the fly? It's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm gonna give you a new one on the fly.
I don't
here.
watch
Hold on.
Trance here. It's fine. Just,
No, it's okay.
Just do it.
We're doing it live.
doing it live,
We're doing
yeah.
it live.
All right. Well, back to Ibis.
Dirt.
Tell
yeah,
me later.
There's
Tell
only-
me later.
Dirt's your team. I put it on the sheet.
Okay. Well, back to Ibis.
All right.
I'm gonna go with Mugen, DPS player, to complement my Orsted. So, pretty good player. Watch back the feature again. I mean, like Train, a pretty quiet team, but I was impressed with Mugen, so signed him to my roster.
For those of you wondering, we used to do every podcast completely unscripted, and I can tell you firmly, they sucked. Let's go back to Train here. Fourth pick in this from his team. Starting off with the Devil Dukes. Who'd you get?
I went support here, and I went Aplomb. I want a plum. I think I'm saying that correctly. A plum, not a plum. Yeah, a very aggressive support player who is always finding value, especially on that Baptiste, doing a lot of damage. And the lamp timing to the healing is still coming through. Just notice that when they int with their team long enough to keep everyone else alive, just so they can go kill the entire enemy team. So you gotta respect it. You gotta respect the hustle. You gotta respect the results, and Aplom's it for me. So.
All right, Beth, we're going to you next. Next pick from the Decapitators. Who'd you take?
All right, Decaps, it's hard to pick against Mugs for me. I put him on DPS. I know he's kind of listed as a flex for them, but honestly, I was surprised this guy was eligible to be picked up for trans tier just because he's been GM for so long on so many different roles. But obviously a really strong player, really good force on that team.
Smugs got washed and then unwashed really quick. Let's put it that way. And I can tell you, having watched his stream, he was washed. Now having watched his stream, he is not washed. He is back to same old terrifying Smugs over again, and it is scary. It is scary. I just saw what you wrote, Apathy. I hate you so much.
What do you mean?
Cap, we're going to you. They just made me laugh. Shut up. Alpha
okay.
was the team you picked from. Who'd you take?
So I haven't picked up DPS. I got both my supports. I've gotten the tank, so I decided I'm gonna go DPS finally. Cosign was the obvious pick. But I think Rain, I think is what it is. R7NN Rain. I don't know.
Rin?
They're Rin. Very good at projectile. I think really complements Cosign's playstyle, like aggressive, especially. Cosign can take those risks because Rin is so consistent with what he does, or what they do. Sorry. And I think that without Rin, I think they aren't in the same place with dropping a map.
I'd go out on a limb and pretty confidently say Rin and Cosign is the best duo in the tier. But then again, if you look at Canada with I just forgot their main tank's name all of a sudden. Oh god, I'm dying. So I'm seeing colors. Oh god. Who's their main
Can you not see colors normally?
Lucksmith.
Yeah.
Lucksmith. Like it.
And their support line.
And there's
Are we NPCing this team?
Yeah, we're NPCing Alpha, but
okay.
Okay. I'll be perfectly honest with you. If I'm building a dream team in trans tier, I would pick at least take 3 or 4 Alpha players easy. Again, I don't think very many people would deny it. So, all right. Anyways, let's move on from our Alpha love and let's go to Apathy. You like Dirt. Who'd you take?
Yes, let's move on from talking about Alpha and then talk about another team that definitely doesn't get talked about very much. Dirt.
No, nobody talks about Dirt.
I am a big fan of Pusey, but I think I'm also going to go with George Lopez. Just a bit more of that star carry player, and I think I'd like this team to run some Bap Zen comps anyways, so I'd like a double flex support lineup. So I'm going with George Lopez.
We're going down to the lower bracket now for these next 2 picks. Trainee, you're picking from Atlas Arcadia. Who are you picking?
My favorite team in trans tier. And you got to go over my favorite role. You got to go off tank Astrozerg here. The off angle pressure that Astrozerg creates in these fights is unlike anything I've ever seen. They are, I'm sorry about your pronouns. They are always in a place where it's impossible to get rid of them. And it's impossible to ignore them because they're going to kill both your supports and your DPS and your other off tank if it's me. But really, they are just really, really spatially aware. And it's really powerful seeing that out of an off-tank player in trans tier.
They indeed are a fantastic player. And you can see them on Wednesday on the feature match up against Skybox. Beth, we're going to you. You were picking from Battalion. Who are you taking?
Yep. Battalion, a team that I have sort of low-key stand this whole season and hope to see them do well. From this team, I had to go with somebody that he's a cool dude. He's like a really good player, kind of everything that you're looking for in somebody to be a leader on the team. And I went with Telm Jacan for them. I know he's there. I believe he's GM for the team, but also just a really chill guy, fun to play with. So, and very, very good at his role.
Telm J. Can from Battalion for Beth. That is his full name. I don't know if you knew that.
Telmathy.
Telm J. Canathy.
Yeah.
Telmathy J. Canathy.
Yeah, Telmathy J. Canathy. It's He had very.
It's a family name. He's in the fourth.
Very eccentric, very eccentric family.
His brother's is Apathy, so like
Apathy J. Canathy.
Apathy J. Canathy.
Oh, okay, wow.
This is just far too much. Their cousin is Delphi J. Canathy. So.
I'm Bethany. Can I be Bethany J. Canathy?
There we go. Everybody's joining the Canathy family.
It's almost
right
like
now.
Y is a very common sound to end a name with.
I feel like those parents are very eccentric.
Yes.
They
Yeah, and
they had a theme and they stuck with it. You gotta give them respect for that.
Respect it.
Mr. and Mrs. J. Canathy.
And just remember,
is actually just part of the last name.
if you doubt Battalion, just remember it's not Telm J. Can't, it's Telm J. Can. Everybody, thanks NPC.
Battalion of the.
Yeah, but we don't talk about. We're not talking about Battalion's win-loss record right now. That's not a good place.
They have potential.
Yes, they are there. Skybox is the team, and if I could pick a team in Transfer, I'd pick all 6 Skybox players personally. But Cap, you're picking one Skybox player. Who'd you end up going with?
It's hard to do to pick one of the six-headed beast of Skybox.
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra. Wait, what? I love Skybox, but I don't think anybody's referred to them as the 6-headed beast all season. So,
Can we start? Can we please start?
I kind of want that to happen now. I wish I was commentating on Wednesdays. All right, Cap, who'd you take?
I went with Glay or Alejandro's. As an avid Skybox fan and Skybox watcher, with the many codes that I've watched of theirs, Glay's really put out those great numbers on the DPS.
I have to say I would have picked all 6 for that spot personally, but I understand your choice. Apathy, and that's not fan service. Trust me, I would never bring myself so low as to stoop to fan service.
That's a lie.
Yeah, I was gonna wear my Skybox shirt tonight, but they misprinted it. So I got this random. I got this random fishing shirt.
They sent you counter shaded instead.
I know they sent me
a real
a
6-headed Hydra.
Oh, they got
6 Skyboxes on the dragon.
Like 6 Skyboxes. Yeah.
No, they sent me a random fishing shirt that was definitely not my size. It looked
Meanwhile, some middle-aged man up on the lake is like, "What the hell is a Skybox?"
I could wear it as a hat. So it was a very small shirt.
Okay.
Quite funny. I should have worn it as a hat.
We have fun here on the Tranquility Overwatch podcast.
Yes,
huh?
the Tranquility, known as the Iris.
Skybox cast.
I gotta give credit.
Iris,
Skybox gonna hit the fishing tournament scene now.
Iris J podcast.
They're almost done with Tranquility. They almost conquered everybody.
Whoa,
you gotta do something.
They have achieved Tranquility.
They got at least.
They're conquering everybody.
Cap. They got at least 6 weeks in Trank left. So let's give them some.
At least.
Which is just in time for ice fishing season. You see, they played it out perfectly.
I would say 7 because they're a full all-star team as well.
That's true. They are a full
fair.
all-star team. No question about it.
That's true, actually.
All right. Apathy. Save us from this madness. Your team is the SS Cuttlefish. Can the SS Cuttlefish save us from this madness?
I mean, they have 1 head and 6 arms. I went with the tank. No, it's 8. I went with the tank player, Matrix, to build out my roster. I think Matrix Garrett is a very interesting tank duo, but I'm glad to have them both. The purple tank duo. Yeah.
Matrix, one of the few surviving members of that OG Cuttlefish roster, I believe.
Yes, that too.
Train, we're kicking over to your last pick and your summary here. You're going to NYAA. Who'd you take?
I'm going to the player that they beat Amnesia without, and that is Canlis on the DPS. If Cosine is not the best DPS in the tier, then I think Canlis is in the running. They are probably 2 of the top 3 or 2 of the top 4, maybe in the trans tier in terms of the DPS line. And I just remember last season, hearing that Reminiscence lost to Nya, and watching a clip of Canlises kill 6 or 7 in one fight by themselves. And going into that, I was thinking, how did Rem lose this, right? I watched the clip like, oh, yeah, okay, this kid is like at least playing at like a 4-1, 4-2 level in Discord tier that season, and they have only improved from what I've seen. So really can't speak highly enough of Canlises.
All right, so summary.
So my summary. Tank line, I've got Astro, Zerg, and Andy. DPS line, I've got Cosine and Canlises. And then support line, I've got Zapper and Aplomb.
AACCAZ.
Thank you, Apathy.
Those are indeed.
That was almost. You know what, Apathy? That was almost an English lesson. That was almost a poetry lesson.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
true.
you.
It's actually fair. That's true. All right, Beth, round us out here. You're picking from Amnesia. Who'd you take?
Yeah, so for Amnesia, I had to pick somebody who was a really strong presence on the team, really good leadership, really well known in the community, definitely puts himself out there. So I went with Train.
Well, you needed a tank, so you can't take.
Yeah, I needed
nobody.
a tank.
You don't need capital on tank.
No, that'd be ridiculous. Of course I wouldn't pick capital on tank. So
Cap, get back here. You're next.
rather than picking capital on support, I chose to go double off tank. So we've got Train.
He's going to
We've
bed.
got the
He's
Train
out.
Telm duo on double off tank meta, but Train is a really
made his
strong
room
player, really
brighter.
good leader for the team. I'm sure Cap agrees that it's a good pick, even if he's salty about it. So.
I don't think Cap is going to say
He
it's
made the-
not a good pick.
I think you chose the worst player on the team.
No,
I agree.
Okay, who-
I agree. But
Polar-
I
Polar-
appreciate
Actually,
it.
yeah, there's Polar. Never mind. We have
Yeah.
Polar. You're all good. Forgot. My bad.
All right, Cap.
Oh.
Sorry, your summary, Beth. Go ahead.
Oh, so in summary, for my tank line, I've got the Telm Train tank line, Jeebus Creebus. For DPS, I've got Smugs and Hades from Decap and Corvidity, respectively, and support I've got Hypnos from Shockwave and George Lopez from Dirt.
What is happening? Cap, go ahead here. You're picking from Manifest. Who you taking?
So we play Manifest next week. Not to throw shade to them, I've thrown a lot of shade to them this week, and I think they're great.
Oh, please don't throw shade. Please don't throw shade. I can only sing solo. Please don't throw shade.
I think Karkanos is the best player on Manifest. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's fair enough. Fair enough.
But I think that
It's not all he's gonna say.
I just think that if I could replace Train with somebody from Manifest, it'd be Karkanos. Yeah.
Main tank?
So
Okay. Fair enough.
just run like
Arissa Ball.
Orisa Ball or
So?
Winston Ball or
We are a Ryan Monkey team
Yes,
now, and that's what we
you
do.
act like we're not a
So-
Red Monkey team
There you go.
already.
Ryan Monkey OP.
Ryan Monkey OP.
Truly broken.
Apathy. Who do you pick in here? Your final pick and the final pick for the Transcendence tier. On that same note, guys,
Oh, I
giveaway
forgot
entries
to do
in.
Oh yeah,
Giveaway.
Cap
Giveaway.
didn't do his
And
And
summary.
Cap's got to do his summary.
Summary.
Get your giveaway entries in though. Giveaway entries. Go ahead, Cap.
Okay, so for tanks, I have Karkanos and Abraxas. Support line, Delphi and Jackrabbit. And then DPS, I have Ren and all 6 Skybox players, but mostly Glay.
All right, and Apathy, wrap us up here. Your pick from the Whirlwind Wildcats. Who do you got?
There weren't too many, weeks to look back on to find the Whirlwind Wildcats players. I ended up going with Veets. One of the higher SR additions to this team, looked pretty good in the codes that I watched, and I think his fragging potential complements well with George Lopez. Got myself a very aggressive support duo. So I've got, again, Veets and George Lopez as my supports. Garrett and Matrix are my tanks, and then Orsted and Mugen are my DPS.
All right. That wraps up the Transcendence tier. Once again, guys, these rosters will be posted probably tomorrow, and you guys will be able to vote on who you thought made the best team. And that is going to also be the time we are pulling the giveaway entries. So any giveaway entries now from this point forward will be for next week's giveaways. Let's get now to the Discord team or Discord tier and wrap it up for the night. In that tier, we're going to start off with with Train. Because that's who's right over here next to me. That's Train. Excalibur.
Which team do I have, Eddie? I have Excalibur. You know, when you think of Excalibur, one player comes to mind, and it's Chief. It is just Chief on the DPS. Truly the event week god. I have nothing to say. If you pull off a performance like that in event week, like I'm gonna pick you for any fantasy team from then on. You just earned it. That's the whole point of event week. So there you go. You have earned my respects for the next 6 seasons at least.
Beth, you're picking from Domination. Who do you get?
Yep, from Domination, the team that we just lost to less than a week ago. So for here, I went to the DPS line to Relentless. Really strong, solid player for them. Definitely gave us some trouble. So yeah, they're my pick.
All right, and Cap, you're kicking us off with Echo Fleet. Who'd you pick?
Yeah, so I went tank for Echo Fleet. I think their tank line is great. And I went QC2. QC2's been great for them. He's climbed like 3-8 and might be the best ball. It's probably the best ball in Discord tier, and I think that's a great place to start for any team.
Great ball players, indeed. No question about that. Apathy, your first pick from Paradise Lost. Who'd you take?
Paradise Lost, filled with a lot of underrated players, but I think one of them stands out just a little bit above the rest. I'm taking Lars on that DPS role. My first pick DPS.
Very support choice of you there for sure. No question about that. Oh, no, you're DPS player now. I got to remember this. Sorry.
It's not like I actually picked them in the order that we're doing this now anyways.
What do you do? Don't pull back the curtain.
What?
Don't pull back the curtain. Don't reveal our secret. I don't want to. This is unscripted.
This is all live.
Yeah, I'm doing these teams live.
This is all live.
It's all live.
It truly is.
We're on air.
All right. Next choice here is back to Train. Your second pick from the SEAL Team Spuds. Who'd you take?
You know, if I could pick a coach, I would pick Polar. I love Polar. I love Polar with a passion, but unfortunately had to pick a player. So I went with Frosty on the DPS line. Frosty has really been standout in the tier this season, putting a great argument forward for one of the best DPS in the tier. It's hard with competition like Asdo, but Frosty's always creating opportunities, punishing mistakes, and making a lot of the plays that their team needs to be successful. And it's worked so far. So good for Spuds, good for Frosty, good for my fantasy team.
Beth, you got Reminiscence. Who you taking?
All right, so for Reminiscence, I picked up DNA from DNA.
I don't even know at this point.
I picked up
Canadian DNA.
Okay, so I picked up DNA. Is it?
I definitely just pointed the wrong way.
We made it worse.
Because I'm like, then what does the DN stand for?
DNA.
But I don't want to ask that question.
It's DNA. It's DNA.
It's like
DNA.
blood.
It's
You're
not
a doctor.
DNA. It's DNA.
Yeah.
Okay.
DNA.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So deoxyribonucleic acid A. Gotcha.
Eh?
Anyways,
Yeah.
I picked
No,
him
the
for
A
Reminiscence.
it's just a reway. It's a key Canadian.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, A.
It's pronounced A.
Yeah, I got that.
Oops.
Well,
I think we're all on the same page.
I think we are.
here.
I hope so anyways.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now completely off the rails.
My brain is a little fried today. I apologize. I picked him up. He's good.
Dana from Reminiscence. Good choice there from Beth. Cap, you got Mechanized. Who you picking?
Mechanized, another team of bards. Lekka.
Very astute observation.
I love Lekka.
He's right.
Lekka's so
You
good.
should've
We're
just
about to play
stopped that another team.
Lekka's great. Lekka's awesome. Lekka is the best main support in the tier. I'm glad I got Lekka. We play him for the third time this week. Lekka, great guy. I think, yeah, great.
Apathy, you got Quokka Queens. Who you picking?
Oh, jeez, I need to go to bed.
The madness has been descended into Apathy. Who save us? You're picking the Quokka Queens.
I'm not saving us. I'm picking DeVito.
Oh, no.
I'm making it
All right.
worse.
Why?
Podcast over,
I'm
y'all.
picking
See ya.
DeVito.
Experience tranquility.
Gotta say, DeVito. You actually got the feed.
I did briefly. We're
Can they
back.
still hear us?
We're back.
Okay.
They can hear us.
Okay. I gotta say, in my 3 seasons of Tranquility so far, DeVito is the strongest player I've ever played against. Now, granted, he played at like 300% of his potential against me, and he's never played like that again. But I still have nightmares, so I'm going DeVito.
Oh, God.
No, I'm picking him off tank fix. I get to choose where he goes because it's my fantasy team. I don't have to work around Quaka Queen's schedule on my fantasy team. He's playing off tank.
All
He's
right.
playing Diva, the only character he can play.
Oh, jeez.
True. Everything else is bad. Train, third pick, Fenrir. Who you picking?
I went support with Fenrir, and I went back to someone I played with last season in Vila. I believe Vila was a mid-season pickup for Fenrir this season. They had kind of a rough start starting out, if I remember correctly, as well. But they really elevated that team into winning form. Very intelligent player, very talented support mechanically, and just an outstanding person to be around. So if I want this team to be fun, which you'll see with my next few picks, I do want it to be pretty fun, and also good and successful, I'm going to go Vila every time.
Beth, are we being fun with Poseidon? Who'd you pick?
Yeah, so for Poseidon, again, have just played them recently, so I was able to pick kind of off of that. But I went with Murph on support. Very, very strong player. As a diva player, her sleeps and nades kind of gave me nightmares because she would always sleep me and then hit a nade on my whole team while I was laying there unable to do anything about it, and was basically undiveable for me. So that's why I'm picking her for my support line.
Capital, you are picking from Valkyrie. Who'd you take?
Valkyrie, I love Valkyrie. Red Mosquito, great support player. Honestly, I've talked to him a few times. I know he was busy when I was talking to him. I know he's supposed to be on flashbacks and didn't work out. But he's awesome. I think he's done great stuff with Valkyrie, and I expect big things from him. He's a great player.
Apathy, wrap up round 3 here. You are taken from Mark 3. Who'd you take?
I went with Keb Cake for the support. Both supports on Mark III are pretty unheard of and kind of underrated, but they've got to be pretty decent to keep up the rest of those feeders. And I've got quite a few feeders on this fantasy team, so I'm taking Keb Cake. Queb Cake.
On to round 4. Train, you got Holy Jalapenos. Who are you taking from that collection, that motley crew?
You know, I had to take a tank here. Had to take one of my favorite players in the tier, someone with just an outstanding personality, very outgoing, and that's the Mallard, the one and only the Mallard. Very patient player in their gameplay, really interesting to watch. But then as soon as they make that call to go in and pull the trigger, you know it's a good call and it's good timing. And you can tell just by the way they walk around the map that they're a leader for this team as well. So I needed a leader, needed someone who can hit shatters and someone who likes to play the game. So I went the Mallard here.
Those are all reasonable things to say about the Mallard, who has now played in 3 separate roles, all in different seasons. One of the few players to do that in Tranquility, by the way.
Three different roles and 3 different tiers, I think, because he was a Harmony DPS, a trance support, and now he's a Discord tank.
Yeah, that's actually all correct.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that is a rare feat. Former season 3 MVP in Harmony tier? Yes,
yeah.
Season 3 MVP. So we'll go to you now, Beth. You're picking from Lotus for your pick. Who'd you take?
So for Lotus, again, kind of just went with somebody that I knew, but I went with Euphoria. Very, very aggressive player, definitely a leader. So Lotus may have had some struggles kind of through this season, but I have faith that in the lower bracket they'll be able to turn it around. So went with them.
Pardon the audio issues. I know we're getting a little bit of feedback right now. I am working on it as we speak. Cap, we're going to go to you next. Your choice is... Am I muted? No,
I hear you.
No, I'm not muted. Sorry, I'm trying to fix this while we're talking here. Cap, we're going over to you. Your pick is from Inferno Foxes. Who'd you take?
So yeah, In front of Foxes, I have a DPS, 2 DPS slots to fill out in the tank, so I decided to go DPS. I went with Swifters, who's been a great pickup so far for in front of Foxes. I think since picking Swifters up, they it's been honestly it's been a great record turnaround. I think they were 1-1, 1-2. They picked up Swifters, and I think they've dropped like 1 game or 2. I expect them to bounce back, and Swifters will lead the charge in the lower bracket.
Back to you for the final pick of round 4. Apathy, you got from Redacted. Who'd you take?
I went with Pebbleclip, another tank player from Redacted, one of the stars of that team, in my opinion. Gonna need it with the other tank that I've got. So yeah, Pebbleclip.
All right, next pick here. Back to you on this one. Train, we're going to the 5th round. Your pick from Domination. Domination is the pick.
Atlas Domination. Terrifying team name.
Yes, Atlas Domination.
Here I took the Atlanta Rain strat, and I went with another animal from my tank line. And I took Classy Turtle from Domination. Their playstyle matches the team name. Just very aggressive, very dominant presence on the battlefield. Controls space and really understands the ebb and flow of the gameplay, especially in those brawl compositions. So hopefully they'll play well with Mallard, run some aggressive stuff, some aggressive animal zoo shenanigans.
And a Classy Turtle.
That's he's classy. He's dressed up. It's
Yeah.
cute.
Just letting
terrifying.
chat. I'm just letting chat.
Atlas Domination. Classy Turtle.
Is that not Dab Master on 2 accounts?
I'm pretty sure that is Dab Master on 2 accounts right now.
Okay,
so,
I thought so.
yeah, I don't know. I thought Dab was on leave of absence anyways. So
Dab's the most active one in chat.
yeah, Dab's the most active person from Domination in the server. Yeah, he's the
It's
one.
more
on
of a
leave absence.
timeout for him.
Yeah,
Dab
that's
is
true.
Domination.
All right, we're going now to Beth. Your team is Paradise Lost. Who'd you take?
Yeah, this was kind of a tricky one for me. It kind of came down to what role I needed to fill, which was support for this. Paradise Lost, although they're a very strong team, it was hard to pick somebody, but I ended up going with Rigmadon on support. Very strong player. We've seen him time and time again. I believe he was on some potato team at some point.
He was SEAL Team Spud's main tank in season 5.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I thought I recognized his name from somewhere.
And
But anyways, went with
season 4 on Tough
Rigmadon
Luck.
as a support for me.
And season 4, Tough Luck.
Okay. So it's been around
And
for
season
a while.
3, Fighting Potatoes. Like the guy has quite a history. So
There you go.
all right, and let's get it now to next pick from Capital. I guess again, you're picking from your team, Reminiscence. Who are you picking?
I love Blood Hungry.
All
So
right,
does Fix.
good answer. Blood Hungry on tank.
Me too.
Apathy. Echo Fleet is your team.
I went with a support player. I went with Soli. I think the least talked about player on Echo Fleet and potentially the best one. Might be a bit of a hot take, but I'm a big Soli fan on that flex support. He's one of my stars on this fantasy team.
Yep, I agree with Normac. All right, wrapping it up here with our final picks in the Discord tier tonight and your summaries as well. Train, your team, Mechanize.
So Mechanize, I went similar strategy to Capital here, but I went with the other aspect of their support duo, and I went Noctua. Very selfless playstyle, manages resources quite well, and plays around enabling their main tank, and does a very good job of it as well. So, if I've got 2 aggressive animals in the front line looking to brawl it out, then I need a selfish support player willing to do anything to keep them alive. So there you go.
All right, Beth, final pick for you. We're going over to Excalibur. Are we back in the Chief zone?
I was going to say, did Train do his summary, though?
Train did not do
I
the
need my
summary.
Oh, it's 2 for 3. I almost
Go
remember.
ahead, Train.
Oh my gosh. It was like a 10-second gap that I needed to remember it as well. Wow.
All good. It's all good.
So
No
anyway,
judgment.
my tank line, Classy Turtle and the Mallard for tanks. DPS, I've got Chief and Frosty. And support, I've got Vila and Noctua.
Right, and as a reminder, you'll be able to vote on these at the probably tomorrow, and I'll post the rosters as well for you guys to take a look at. All for fun. Beth, your final pick is from Excalibur. Who are we picking?
Yeah, and to answer your question from earlier, yes, we're back in the Chief Zone. Of course we're back in the Chief Zone. I mean, Excalibur is a strong team, but they're like he is their player. Like he is probably the best player on that team, and we've seen it time and time again. He is able to wrest that team into victory. So of course I'm going to go with him. So in summary, my tank line is DNA from Rim. It is Euphoria from Lotus. My DPS are Relentless/Reckless from Domination and Chief from Excalibur. And my support line are Murph from Poseidon and Rigmadon from Paradise Lost.
Cap, we're going over to you next for your final pick. That is from the Kawaka Queens. Who are you taking? All right, and your summary? Oh, Cap's muted. I muted him because there was some feedback. I'm sorry. That's my fault. I muted your feed because there was some feedback.
I was saying that I picked the DPS from Kawaka Queens that I knew well, and now the joke isn't as good, but that would be picking Reborn instead of Vix. Forgot. Reborn instead of Washed. But
it's the right choice for the record.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, Reborn's great. Reborn's been great for that team. I've heard so many great things from Navino. He does so much for that team, and yeah, I couldn't be happier.
All right, summary.
And then in summary, I have my 2 tanks with Blood Hungry and QC Chew. My DPS being Reborn and Swifters, and then my supports have Lekka and Red Mosquito.
All right, Apathy, wrap us up here. The final pick of the draft. Who'd you take?
Saving the best team for last. Yeti is. I'm maybe not share that opinion. We got the SEAL Team Spuds. Sorry for the cheap shot.
I'm not saying that I'm heavily biased in my statement, and I'm not saying it's even correct, but I still will stand the Spuds.
I know. I went with Frosty
I'm lagging.
DPS. Just a very good DPS. We saw him, Q for Quarantine, one of the stars on that team. They went pretty far. Just a solid player to round out my team, which is now going to be Navino Pebbleclip for tanks, Lars Frosty for DPS, and Kebcake solely for supports. And I went 3 for 3 on remembering to do the recap. Suck it.
I'm just saying, don't diss my Spuds. I'm just saying, everybody's big on reminiscence, but if you look down the line, SEAL Team Spuds is just better at every role. Beppo's a walking MTD. Kiddo is the most underrated player in Tranquility. Frosty is just 10 times better than Seraph, and it's not even.
They just
close.
played, right?
Cap, I'm talking right now. I'm gonna mute you again. And Nagi, easily the most improved player in the tier, no question about it on the DPS. Nova, no, you're not actually. Cap. Nova is just far better than anybody over there. MC, fantastic flex support, and your teammate just crushes LCS. LCS's biggest claim to fame is he's the guy who pockets Asdo. So just saying, congratulations, LCS. You're gonna make the All-Star team because you pocket Asdo.
Oh no!
I'm gonna use claim to shame from now on. That's amazing.
I didn't hear a single thing you said,
Oh
Yeti, because
gosh.
I lagged that whole thing.
Yeah, you know what? That's just a shame. You can watch the VOD back.
You can rewatch the VOD Capital on
I'm just saying, you know what? Honestly,
Tranquility.
Twitch.tv/.
Genuinely, just in case people think I'm being
We're falling apart. Nostalgia podcast.
genuinely, just in case you think I'm being serious, that was all.
Oh,
That was all a
man.
joke. Other than the
I still don't hear
other
anything.
than the
My
LCS bit, that was all a joke. So, anyways, let's move on, guys.
You guys can keep Nova. We already have
Oh, Cap actually might have DC'd.
him. Yeah, I think so.
I think he actually DC'd.
I'm losing.
Oh god, that's
I'm
actually
losing
funny
it.
as hell. Yeah, he DC'd. He's gone. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the cast here. Just talking about some matches to watch this week before we get into a couple of announcements. Starting
And the
with
drawing.
and the drawing as well. Drawing yet to come. Train, start us off. What match are you watching this week?
We talked about these two teams a lot on this podcast tonight, but I'm looking at Paradise Lost versus Steel Team Spuds. Two upper tier teams in the Discord tier, kind of vying for that final opportunity to maintain upper bracket. I believe this is one of the later upper bracket games, and I have Steel Team Spuds coming out 3-1. I think Beth mentioned at the beginning, Paradise Lost as a team we sleep on a little bit on the podcast, and I'm going to continue that tradition here today. I'm going to sleep on them one more time.
Beth, who are you picking here for your match to watch?
So my match to watch is going to be Firefight versus Chrysalis. Firefight coming off of a big upset win last week. Chrysalis had the week off. Might be resting on their laurels a little bit. We will see. They sure talk a big game. But I am going with Firefight on this one. I think that they're peaking at the right time. They're coming off of a big win. I have them winning here 3-2 in an upset.
Capital would be picking here, but he's obviously disconnected. He picked his match to watch, Battalion versus Cuttlefish, and picked Battalion to win that 3-2. Apathy, what's your match to watch?
I went with the Loki versus Koala Kings. I was looking at the matches. A lot of them were kind of, rematches, either from stage 1 or stage 2, kind of coincidentally. And I think this is one of the few that wasn't a rematch. So this is one that I'm very excited to see. I ended up going, I think it's going to go 3-1 in the favor of Koala Kings, but they both play similar styles, so it's definitely going to be an interesting match.
All right, match I'm watching, Devil Dukes versus God Hand. Devil Dukes with a lot of changes to that roster. God Hand is still God Hand, but I'm going with the upset here. I have Devil Dukes taking it. I think Devil Dukes win it 3-1. I think a couple changes they made, getting Cam over onto the tank there, getting Cam off Rollock and getting Abraxas back on that and getting moving forward. I think that team looks awfully spooky. And addition from by subtraction, also really good for that team as well. All right, guys, that's the end of everything here. Really quick announcements. First and foremost, again, no montage and comms check this week. Make sure you submit for next week. We need your comms checks of odds. Part of the reason we didn't do it this week is we didn't have very many, which was also because we didn't have as many matches. But you know what? Technicalities. Get your comms checks and get your montage clips in for next week. We will have a montage and a comms check next week, so make sure to get those submitted. Also, next week, it's a big podcast. We are bringing you the end of season award winners next week, so tune in, make sure to catch those, and
it's Halloween.
it is
Everything.
gonna be a good one.
This guy, bro.
Your feed is still down, Cap, because I would need to re-enter your seat, and I'm not going to be able to do that. We can all hear Capital, you guys can't, so sorry. I told them what your thing was. Yes, I said 3 Battalion. This is a very weird one-sided conversation for the podcast right now. Can I translate your reasoning? Sure, I can translate your reasoning. Here goes. Cap's giving me his reasoning. I'll relay it to you guys. All right. He said that it's purely personal and he hates the cuttlefish. All right. Yes. All right. So, all right. Anyways, here we go, guys. And again, end of season awards next week. Tune in. You're not going to want to miss it. Find out who took down those awards. Also this week, we got feature matches for you. Strix, Luminous tomorrow night, 8:30. Skybox, Atlas Arcadia, Wednesday at 8:30. And Thursday, Domination versus Echo Fleet. That one is at 8. So tune in, catch those matches. Awesome matches. Get your Trank Bucks and get those giveaway entries. And speaking of which, your giveaway winner this week is Gap from Domination. Congratulations to Gap. You'll be receiving a free shirt from the Tranquility Store, and we'll do another giveaway next week, guys, so make sure to tune in. Gap, definitely the best player on Domination. Let's just put
Atlas Domination.
I'm putting them into frenzy right now by doing that. So All right.
Atlas domination.
Atlas domination.
It's Mr.
Should be
Atlas
his
Domination.
J
full name
domination.
first and last.
Atlas J domination. Been a fantastic podcast, guys, tonight. Thank you very much, Capital, the Train, Apathy, Beth, and thank you all for thank you all for gazing into the iris with us tonight. And we will see you again very soon. Have a good night.
Experience tranquility. Pass into the iris.